On the Christmas Eve of 1945, a fire destroyed a home in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jennie Sodder lived in the home with 9 of their 10 children. Their oldest son, Joe, was overseas fighting in World War II. That night, George and Jennie Sodder were able to escape the burning house with 4 of their children. The remaining 5 Sodder children were never accounted for. George Sodder and Jennie Sodder were Italian immigrants who came to US separately as children. George started his own trucking company in West Virginia, and the two were a respected middle-class family. However, George had strong political opinions he expressed, which some people did not like, especially in the immigrant community. He was strongly opposed to Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. At 12:30 a.m. on the Christmas, Jennie Sodder woke up to the phone ringing. She answered the phone, and a woman whose voice she did not recognize asked for a name Jennie was not familiar with. She heard other voices in the background along with clinking glasses and a weird laughter. When Jennie got off the phone, she checked on her children. She had allowed her kids to stay up later playing with new toys. She noticed that lights were on and the curtains were closed, typically done by the last person in the house to go to bed. She found one child, Marian, asleep on the couch and returned her to bed, assuming the other children were in the attic and had forgotten to close down the house. At 1 a.m. on Christmas, Jennie Sodder woke up again to the sound of an object hitting the house's roof with a loud bang, then a rolling noise. She went back to sleep. At around 1:30 a.m. on Christmas, Jennie Sodder woke up again, this time to the smell of smoke. She got up and found a fire in George's office, also where the fuse box and telephone wires were. Jennie woke up George, and they escaped the house with 4 children: Marian, Sylvia, John, and George Jr. The family yelled at the house, assuming they would wake the other children who slept in the attic. These were the children who had stayed up later than the rest of the family, and Jennie had assumed went to bed without shutting the lights off. They did not hear from the other children and could not go upstairs to get them because the staircase was aflame. Next, the family tried to call for help. The Sodder phone did not work, so no one of the children ran to a neighbor's house and called. The family tried to locate their ladder in order to check on the children in the attic. It was usually resting against the side of the house but was now missing. George Sodder tried to use both of his trucks to drive closer to the house so that he could crawl up to the attic. Both were previously in good working order and now would not start. Because of these various delays, and because the fire department was small and volunteer only, because most of the firefighters were overseas serving in the war, they did not arrive until morning, when the family assumed the other 5 children had already died. When the fire department finally did arrive and began going through the ashes of the Sodder house, they did not find any bones. The fire chief still believed the children died in the fire. 4 days after the fire, George Sodder bulldozed the home, intending to make a memorial garden for his deceased children. The death certificates for the children were issued. However, after things calmed down, the family began to question what really happened. The family's Christmas lights stayed on throughout the beginning part of the blaze. This would not have occurred if it was truly an electrical fire. They thought and found the family ladder had been moved from the side of the house and hidden in an embankment near the home. Someone from the telephone company discovered that someone had crawled up a telephone pole and cut the phone line leading to the Sodder's house. While sorting through the rubble, Jennie Sodder said that they found kitchen appliances intact. How could the fire not damage them more if it had truly burned human bones to ash? Jennie Sodder tried to burn animal bones to ash and was unable to do so. She contacted a crematorium who told her a 2-hour fire at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, both hotter and longer than the Sodder's house fire, would still leave human bones intact. George Sodder was confused about why neither of his previously working trucks would move that night. A local bus driver provided an alternate account. The driver of a bus that passed through the Fayetteville late Christmas Eve said he had seen some people throwing balls of fire at the house. A few months later, when the snow had melted, Sylvia found a small, hard, dark green rubber ball-like object in the brush nearby. George, recalling his wife's account of a loud thump on the roof before the fire, said it looked like a pineapple bomb, hand grenade, or some other incendiary device used in combat. The family later claimed that, contrary to the fire marshal's conclusion, the fire had started on the roof, although there was by then no way to prove it. People in the town claimed they saw the missing children in a vehicle the night of the fire. In 1949, the site of the house fire was excavated. Human vertebrae bones were found, but an expert said they could only come from a human aged 16 to 23 years of age and had never been exposed to fire. The oldest of the missing children was 14 at the time of the fire. The expert also noted that it was very strange the bones weren't found, as they should have burned up in that situation. A woman who ran a Charleston hotel claimed to have seen the children approximately a week afterwards. She mentioned, "I do not remember the exact date," she said in the statement. The children had come in around midnight with 2 men and 2 women, all of whom appeared to her to be of Italian extraction. When she attempted to speak with the children, one of the men looked at me in a hostile manner. He turned around and began talking rapidly in Italian. Immediately, the whole party stopped talking to me. In 1967, Jennie Sodder received a photo in the mail of a man resembling one of the missing children, Louis Sodder. The back of the photo read, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie and the little boys." So who were the suspects, according to the police? 2 months before the fire in October 1945, a traveling life insurance salesman tried to sell George Sodder a policy. When Sodder declined, the salesman told him his house would go up in smoke and your children are going to be destroyed. Rather than the loss of business, the salesman told Sodder the cause of this tragedy would be the dirty remarks you have been making about Mussolini. Someone in the town had been trying to find work George Sodder could not pay him to do, and told George that he could fix his fuse boxes, warning him that they needed to be fixed or they would catch fire. George opted not to hire him as he had recently had the house rewired and cleared by the electric company. Another suspect was, during the month of fire, some of the Sodder children noticed 2 people in a car that would watch them on their way home from school. The family, along with some other town residents, believe the Sicilian mafia may have taken the children and started the fire in an attempt to extort money from the Sodders, although no one has reached out to them to ask for the money ever again.